Well, hello and welcome. Today we're at the Fauquier Education Farm, and we're going to be talking about starting seedless watermelons. We're here with the Executive Director, Mr. Jim Hankins. Jim, I love watermelons. Seeded, seedless, I like them all. But tell me about these seedless watermelons a little bit, so people might not be aware of them. Tell me about what's going on with them.
Well, a whole lot of people have gotten really spoiled. They only want seedless watermelons. Okay. But then how on earth do you start a plant that doesn't have seeds? Yeah. Seedless watermelons actually do have seeds. They call them pips. When you cut it, you can see where the seeds would be, the little white ones. But it takes special care from the seed companies to cut those out, and it's just bred so that it doesn't make that hard shell. The seed stays soft. The problem is, then in order to get those pips to sprout, you know, it's an expensive process. They cost a lot more, but you have to maintain 85 degrees of soil temperature and above 90% humidity in order to get these things started.
So to germinate, that's a little different than a typical watermelon,
Oh, a
right?
typical watermelon is really, really easy. You just have to wait till, it's best to wait till around Memorial Day till the soil temperature is warm, but you'll never get 85 degree soil temperature out in your garden, you know, and you're never going to get 90% humidity. It feels, you know, but it's really, really easy. Okay. You know, what I've got set up here is a heat mat underneath these trays, and we'll move these in just a second. There's a mat that keeps the soil temperature right. I've got a thermostat over here. There's even a little probe that goes up into the soil. The plastic domes keep the moisture in, and it works. You know, I can take this off, and they've just started sprouting up today. But, you know, then, you know, once they have sprouted, I'm going to leave them covered for a couple more days. There are a few more stragglers. Once they have sprouted, I don't need that high temperature anymore. I don't even need the high humidity. I can put them out into the garden. Okay. But then seedless have one more trick that they really require, which is they need a pollinator. They need a seeded variety of watermelon planted right next to them. Okay. Okay. I just use Crimson Sweet, which is one of our favorite seeded watermelons. There are specific pollinators that you can get that produce very small melons that are really, really seeded and nobody eats them. They're great livestock feed.
So when you put these out, if you've got 10 or 12 of these plants, you want a few of the seeded plants too.
Yeah, you want a pollinator for about every 4 plants. Okay. You know, now as I said, these seedless watermelons are really expensive. I checked on one of my favorite seed catalogs. 10 seeds cost $10.75. For $10, I can get 500 of my Crimson Sweet, which is a seeded variety. But once you've got the seedlings, you cannot raise a seedless by itself. It's got to have a pollinator. It's going to be a typical watermelon plant, so it's going to sprawl out in 5 feet in any direction. You need full sun, well-drained soil. Don't think that watermelons need a lot of water. They're kind of desert adapted. They came from the Sahara Desert. So, you know, but it's super easy if you can get them to germinate.
That's the key. And it looks like with your heat mat and these domes that keep the humidity in, you can do it.
Yep. You know, this heat mat, I'll roll it back. I've got a little probe that goes up in there. It's attached to a thermostat. And it's just a mat that has heating elements inside it that maintain that temperature. It's really, really simple. It's really safe. You can see I run the hose over it. you know.
Well, if you're somebody that germinates a lot of your seedlings, I see this would be a good investment, whether you're doing seedless watermelons or tomatoes or peppers.
Absolutely. You know, if you don't have a greenhouse or wherever you're starting your seeds, you know, soil temperature is an essential part of any seed germinating. And, you know, you just have to have it right. And seedless watermelons require a much higher temperature than anything else.
Makes sense, makes sense.
But once you've got that, you've got, you know, these are two of my favorite, the Orange Crisp and Yellow Butterball or Yellow Buttercup. They're really, really sweet, yellow fleshed watermelons, no seeds, and really fun.
There's so many good cultivars out there now.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Well, this makes a lot of sense. I understand now. I see that I don't want this to be too difficult, and it's not, because people can do seedless watermelons. It looks like, because you're obviously doing it.
Oh, this setup works really well, and as soon as these really fully germinate, I'm going to be putting another 100 in here or another 200 in here, and just keep on going for the next several weeks.
Well, great. Thank you, Jim, for letting us come out and talk about starting seedless watermelons.
Always a pleasure.
Well, for more information about starting seedless watermelons or growing seedless watermelons, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.